All right. Since my last video on flags, there's been some movement in the state flag world, and I figure I'll give a few thoughts about it. Some folks who are much better known than me have given their thoughts. JJ McCullough has specifically, I recommend you listen to his videos. I like him a lot. I very much disagree with him on state flags, though. I think the state flag reforms that have been happening are very good and very worth doing. So the biggest new news, of course, is the flag of Minnesota. So this flag has been approved, or I believe it's going on to the state legislature now for final approval. I think it's a great flag. Not all of the finalists were all that great, to be honest. So I think that got a lot of people very nervous. But really, what they picked in the end, I think, is a great flag. It has the shape of Minnesota on it, which is something I really like. And of course, the water can represent their lakes or their the Mississippi River or whatnot. But I think you're going to see this flag flying all over the state within a few years. I think this flag will be readily adopted, and it'll be really great compared to their current seal on a bedsheet flag. So good job, Minnesota. Please keep it up. And for everyone else working on state flag reform, I hope that we'll all keep this up as well. So this is my latest concept of what I would hope that the state flags would end up looking like. I've made some changes since the last video that I made. Obviously, I updated the Minnesota flag right here, but a few other things have represent some changes in my thinking as well. So I had made a redesign of the flag of New Jersey, but I've recently kind of decided that their current flag is actually better than my redesign. And I'm not saying that the redesign couldn't be done better, but what I've decided to do in this case here is keep their current flag mostly, but I simply eliminated some of the text on the bottom and zoomed in. I did the same thing for the flag of Washington over here. So kind of what I'm thinking is that seal on a bedsheet, the biggest problem with it is that so many states use it, and so many states use it on a blue background. So I'm not so concerned about the fact that it's detailed and not simple enough. I agree, that's not a big deal, or that's not what we need to be aiming for. What we need to be aiming for is distinctiveness. Now, in this case, I've kept Washington and New Jersey, but it's important. Washington's on a green background and New Jersey's on a beige background. So those two states still stand out amongst all of these state flags, even with the seal on the bedsheet design. And in New Jersey's case, I think that they have some great colors in their state seal here. So I think that's well worth doing. I'm also going to talk a little more detail about Massachusetts. I've redesigned that again since the last time I talked. So Massachusetts is my own home state, so I've put a little bit more thought into it. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit as well. And I've made some minor tweaks to some flags as well. So this here is all 50 state flags as I currently would hope that they would be. Obviously, I understand I'm not in charge of all of this, and very well may be that some people will come up with better designs than these. These are not my original designs, I want to be clear. Some of them are. Massachusetts is, New Hampshire is. But most of these are either the current state flag or they're redesigns by other folks that have posted their designs to the internet and that I've liked them for one reason or another. So unlike the last video, I'm not going to go through all 50 states this time. I'm just going to say, number one, good job, Minnesota. I think this flag is very good. I know it's simple, and I know some people are pushing back against the idea of simplicity in flags, and I agree that flags don't always have to be super simple. But this flag, I think, really does the job. And I think we're going to see it all over the state of Minnesota within a few years. So good job, Minnesota. So one thing I wanted to talk about here is minor tweaks to flags. Some of the flags on that collage at the beginning have some minor tweaks to them, and one example is Colorado. Now, I still rate Colorado as the best state flag in the country as it stands right now, but even still, I've adopted a minor tweak to it, and that is that in this minor tweak, the C lines up with the stripes here, which is not the case on the official Colorado flag. So I believe this to be a better version of the Colorado flag than what currently exists. Now, you're never going to get a political movement to make a minor tweak like this. Nobody's going to care enough to make it happen. So what I would suggest is if you're somebody who flies the Colorado flag, just start flying this one. Don't wait for it to become official or anything. Just do it. Everyone will recognize it as being the Colorado flag, and it looks just that much better. So that's my recommendation for Colorado, and just a little bit about minor tweaks. All right, now I'm going to talk about Massachusetts for a while. On my last video, this was the flag that I had come up with. So what this flag is basically the current state flag, the old reverse with the tree made gold and this rope thing extended across the top. It's okay, but I think I've done better thinking about it some more. So the next thing that I did was kind of try to keep the colors, and I moved it over. I played around with this sort of thing for a little while. And then I said, you know what? I think I can make this kind of curved edge here to represent the shield, which is on the current state flag. And so for a long time, I stuck with this design in my head, and I really liked it a lot. When I threw it out there on the internet, the comment I got back was, "Why are you ripping off Maine?" Well, I wasn't intending to rip off Maine. This star exists on the current state flag, and this tree was on the state flag going back quite some time. And of course, for those who don't know, Maine was actually part of Massachusetts hundreds of years ago. But in any case, it doesn't really matter what my intentions were. If people see this and they think, oh, that's a ripoff of Maine, well, yeah, I guess that's a problem, right? The other comment that I got was, oh, too much white space, and I get it. You know, Massachusetts has traditionally had a white flag, so I kind of liked the idea of keeping a white flag, and I have kept a white flag for the most part. I think it's distinctive among state flags, so I am keeping that. But I made a couple of changes to this. So I got rid of the star so as not to be ripping off Maine, and I added this kind of design over here on the other side of the flag, so that it's not just pure white space. So if you're looking for symbolism in this, I think that this shape here kind of abstractly represents the state of Massachusetts. If the flag were flying in the other direction, for example, this could be Cape Cod over here, and the blue can be the water. We have a gold-colored tree, which can represent fall foliage, which we're known for. And of course, this gold stripe here for our, strong economy. So overall, and it's the same colors as the current flag, gold, blue, and white. So this is what I currently have for my design of the Massachusetts flag. And so I'd love it if they would consider something like this. I do prefer this to anything else that I've seen people design for Massachusetts. I've seen a lot of designs out there that basically take the current state seal and kind of make it bigger, or take the Native American who's there and put him onto one side or the other. I don't know. None of those have really excited me that much. I think we do need to change the flag. As a seal on a bed sheet, you could just make it bigger in accordance with my philosophy that I talked about with New Jersey and Washington. But the problem is that our state seal is actually not very good. It can be interpreted to have a sword of the Europeans pointed at the Native Americans, which is really actually awful. So I definitely think we need to do a redesign of the flag of Massachusetts. And here is my submission for what that could look like. So anyways, if anyone gets the ball rolling on a Massachusetts flag redesign, let's submit this one or one similar. Much like with Minnesota, by the way, of course, I'm completely open to someone just taking this and chopping it up and coming up with something better. That would be totally fine by me. All right, so anyways, talking about New Jersey for a little bit, I ended up keeping New Jersey's seal on a bedsheet design. But one thing I do think is important if you're going to keep a seal on a bedsheet is to make the seal bigger so that you can actually see it. So that's what I've done here. I basically just blown the shield up quite a bit compared to what it usually is on the New Jersey flag. And I've got rid of the text that's on the bottoms of that flag. I think that those tiny texts and the Latin text that we have and whatnot, they're just not good for flags. They're hard to read. If it's in Latin, people don't even know what it means anyways. But this seal is actually quite good. It's got some great colors with the orange and the red and the beige background and this light blue in the middle and whatnot. No other state has colors like this, so I actually think it's reasonably distinctive as it is. So I guess I would call this a minor tweak at this point, right? We're just going to take the text off and zoom in, and otherwise it's the same flag that New Jersey currently has. So I guess for New Jersey, this is my thoughts and recommendation. Same philosophy for the state of Washington. Now, you may remember last time I made kind of a joke flag where I just took a big portrait of Washington and put it up there. Here what I've done is I've taken their current flag and again just zoomed in on their state seal and removed the text. And one thing that's nice about Washington is that because the text all appears on a nice circle like this, that circle can simply become a border and look reasonably nice that way. So good for them for that. Because one piece of feedback I got on my last flag video was that I had a bunch of flags that had banners where I simply removed the text but left the banner, and people said that looked weird. And you know what? You're right. So I've tried to remove banners from flags because of that. But in the case of this flag, you don't really need it because the text wasn't on a banner, it was just on this border, which I still think looks reasonably nice like this. And the flag is green, not blue. That's super important. Blue flags blend in, green flags stand out, or any other color for that matter. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about North Carolina because I've had, a lot gone on in my mind for what on earth to do about this flag, as if somehow it's my job. I don't know, but it's what I think about sometimes. So the last time I took the North Carolina flag, I replaced the N and the C with gold-colored stars and kept the banners, but removed the text. All right. I've seen people use this NC before, so for a little while I thought maybe something like this, and just kind of this stylized gold to make it look a little bit more different than Texas. The North Carolina flag and the Texas flag are way too similar, by the way, and Texas definitely has the priority on it. So then I was thinking, what else can I do besides those gold triangles there? So I tried something like this, where we could have like the Wright brothers plane in the shape of North Carolina. It's kind of cool and whatnot. Very recently, I had somebody on Reddit say, "Oh, why don't they just use the Guilford Courthouse flag for North Carolina?" Well, I never heard of the Guilford Courthouse flag, but I looked it up, and it's a weird, wild flag that definitely stands out. So the problem with the Guilford Courthouse flag is that its dimensions are wacky. It's ordinarily very long, but I've taken it and kind of turned it into a more standard dimension. But I've kept the same arrangement of stars and the 13 stripes with these colors. So it's clearly an American flag, but this was flown in the Revolutionary War in North Carolina, so it's associated with their state history and whatnot. I think it looks good. So for now on the collage anyways, this is the flag that I put there to represent North Carolina. Obviously, hey, you folks in North Carolina, I recommend you try to figure out how to improve your flag or how to do better. Your flag right now is basically a Texas flag turned upside down that says, hey, we're not Texas, we're North Carolina. I think you can do better than that. All right. So looking at everything, this is the old state flag collage. All right. This is after Mississippi changed their flag, but before Utah changed their flag. And it's a mess, in my opinion. You can see what flags are good and what flags are not pretty easily like this. What flag is this? Anybody know? All right. You might know, but it's not easy to tell. Okay. That's Nebraska. All right. What flag is this? That's Idaho, okay? Anyone know the difference between Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine up here? I've got these roughly geographically laid out. If I just simply randomize them, you'd have a really hard time. All of these seals on a blue background blend in with each other, all right? In the flags that I'm proposing, the only blue seal on the backgrounds that get to stay, if you call this a seal for Indiana, it gets to stay with a tweak to take the word Indiana out of it. All right, Louisiana, which is a light blue background, gets to stay with its text removed, and so does Oklahoma. And all of these are nice, distinctive seals and slightly different blues. But something like this Nebraska flag, this Idaho flag, even this Nevada flag, which the only thing distinctive about it is that the seal is up in the corner instead of in the middle. This Kansas flag, they're all awful, all right, and they all need to change. I will say one thing for North Dakota, at least they made their seal big, right? It's terrible, right? Their seal is an awful seal. It's just an eagle with some stars, just like so many others, right? Just like Illinois, it's just like Utah, right? It's awful. It's an awful seal, but at least they made it big and took up the whole flag with it, so you can actually see it. And North Dakota, by the way, is one of these states that I think. So I'm not happy with the alternatives that I've seen so far. I would love to update North Dakota on my collage of updated state flags. So anyways, let's see what else. Georgia is kind of a really tricky one to try and figure out how to get these words off of these banners here and whatnot. So I'm going to go back to the updated collage in just a sec right here. I've ended up just putting this peach here, but I'm pretty sure folks are going to say, hey, that's too graphic designy. It's just like, the Georgia tourism board or whatnot. So yeah, I get it. So I'd love to see some people doing some more work on how to update the Georgia flag. And as I said last time, I kind of extended this blue down here to make it a little bit less Confederate-y, but still be Georgia-y. But yeah, obviously that's going to be up to the folks of Georgia if they ever want to update their flag to actually do it that way. Like I said, I'm not super happy with the alternatives I've seen for North Dakota right here. Kentucky, I think I've got kind of an okay flag here, but it's not great. Since the last video, I did update the Kansas flag to one that got some very positive reception from some folks from Kansas. So this was designed by someone online, and I think it looks quite nice. The one that I had made purple and yellowish, which I like to do because it makes it stand out over blue. Like I've said, blue tends to blend in. But you know, hey, if everyone actually made these updates, then this blue isn't quite so bad. I did the same thing with Oregon, by the way. I made it purple and yellow in order to make it stand out. Um, you know, I think it's a good idea to have a purple flag if you can justify it. I'm sure that I like my Connecticut flag, but I'm pretty sure nobody else is going to like it. So by all means, folks from Connecticut, go ahead and come up with something better. And then this Virginia flag has been updated since the last time I did it. I think so, it's the same idea as the last flag I had here, but I think this one is just done a little bit better. So again, this is with this spear coming through this crown, which fits very much with the current Virginia flag. And then I think most of the other flags are basically the same as they were last time I did one of these videos, except that I removed banners, right? Like Rhode Island, I adjusted a little bit to get that banner off of it. But other than that, this is a good, I think. And again, here we are, all 50 flags on the screen at one time, and I think you can pretty easily see what's what. Even if I were to zoom out a bit, you'd be able to tell each flag very distinctly from each other. Unlike if I go back to the, if I can figure out how it is, if you go back to the old flags, a lot of these flags you're going to have a very hard time distinguishing one from another, even at this scale. And if I zoom out a little bit, it's going to become all that much harder. But if these were the flags, I think everyone would be able to tell every one of these flags from every other one of these flags, which to me is the most important thing. And I guess, you know, as I said on the last video, the second most is that, hey, you want a flag, I think, that people are going to adopt and feel proud of. And how do you know that? Where do you see the flag? Do you see it only behind the governor when they're giving a press conference or out in front of some official building? If that's the case, the flag's not great. If you see people using the flag to show their pride in their state, then you have a good flag. All right. You have it for Texas right now. You see it for California right now, right? I think you're going to start seeing it for Minnesota with their new flag. That's why I like it so much, right? But for others of these old flags, you don't see it, right? Nobody in Maine is going around showing this. In fact, in Maine, this is what they use. If you look at your average everyday person, if you drive around in Maine and look for somebody that flies a flag outside of their house, you're much more likely to see this flag. That tells you it's a better flag right there, all right? So, in conclusion, don't give up on flag reform. JJ McCullough is wrong, but please still go listen to him. His stuff is very interesting in general. I like him a lot as far as his YouTube. Personally, I don't know him. I've never met the guy, but I love his YouTube videos. So by all means, go listen to him. But he's wrong about state flag reform. Yeah, other than that, I'm happy to hear your comments on these as well. I will generally kind of keep updating this collage as I see and come up with what I believe to be better ideas for state flags. All just my own opinion, of course, and there's no reason why my opinion should carry any more weight than anyone else's. But anyways, I'd love to hear some discussion on this, so hope to hear from you soon. Bye.